Hello and welcome back, and thank you for joining us for our BNI San Diego podcast. Having a great day here with one of my colleagues, good friends, and someone I'm excited that's joining us today, which is Elizabeth Hughes. Thank you for joining us, Elizabeth.
Thank you for having me.
So, Elizabeth, you are the president of right now our largest chapter in BNI San Diego called BNI Carmel Valley.
That's right.
Right? And your business is?
Pest control.
And what are you known as in the chapter?
I'm the bug girl.
The bug girl. You gotta love that, right?
I'm known as the bug girl in most of all of San Diego. So, and actually, if you look, just search the bug girl on Instagram.
Oh,
you'll
no
see
way.
my face.
So you're well branded too.
I'm working on it.
Nice. Very cool.
BNI is helping.
So tell us a little bit about you, your background, a little bit about your background. You know, you have 45. Oh, wait, no. You have about a minute or so. Tell us a little bit about you. How'd you get in the bug business? Yeah.
That's actually, I'll elaborate more on that today. But really it seemed like it was just a job that I found online. I was working retail. I didn't want to keep working on holidays and, equating Thanksgiving. I caught myself equating Thanksgiving with Black Friday, essentially. Like Thanksgiving didn't exist anymore. I just saw Black Friday.
You were not going to have any life over Thanksgiving.
Right. It started like 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving, and I was like, okay, we've lost track. So I said, I want to find something in like an office space, and I went on Indeed, and I found this company and this job. Really, it was actually an office assistant position at the time. But anyway, it just kind of happened naturally, and so what I'll kind of get into a little bit later is that now I'm in the position of director of business development with my company.
So you've grown with the company.
And the company has grown, yeah. So we've almost tripled our office staff, doubled our team sizes. And so and we've been in business for over 42 years, so we've been stable and strong, but really in a season of growth the past several years.
And in order for a company to grow, in order for it to grow monetarily, like size, that also means you've got to grow people-wise, right?
Oh, right, absolutely.
How many people are in the team, and how do you bring on those people on the team?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to have like the infrastructure to support the growth that you want to have. Or in BNI, you have to, if you're going to be getting referrals, which you will, then you have to have the system within to support that. And so we have all those things, which is great. And since then, a few people, or in the past year, maybe a few people have asked me, Elizabeth, you're so great at what you do. How do I find someone like you? And I joke that, well, there's only one me. But really, there is a way for people to find an awesome business development person for their business.
So wait, but before you begin, what is business development for all those individuals who don't know what that title is?
Yeah, well, I definitely don't have like a Webster Merriam definition, but
or what's your definition of?
I think it would be the analysis and like being able to analyze and impact the areas of your business and then growing them, and using many platforms to do that via social media, advertising, networking groups, etc. So I think that can also look different for anyone, but I think it's just the idea of growth, really. And like you said, that would be of your business itself, and of your team. And
you've done it very successfully. How long have you been with the company now?
5 years.
So you started with one thing and you're in a completely different role because of how you've grown with the company.
Yeah, and I think that they gave me the space to grow, and they saw that I had a skill set that was unique, that I was doing tasks that I'm not going to say anyone could do them, but it might be easier to fill an office manager position than a business development. And I was really sales focused and excited to go and track down new leads and analyze return on investment in different areas of our business. And they realized that, okay, these skills are exclusive and unique to Elizabeth. So we need to create a role, because this role didn't exist prior. We need to create a role and space and resource for her to do them successfully.
Oh, wow.
I know. What a blessing to work with people like that.
Well, that people that give you this, I love the word, you used the word space, right? They gave you the space to be able to develop a role that is benefiting them.
Right. Yeah, it was there is certainly something that has been a little bit of investment on their part, whether it's, they had to lose me out of the office for a time because I've been filling the office manager position and the business development position for the past 2 years. But now we have an awesome office manager, so I can just focus on business development.
So would you say it was to their benefit that they lost you as their admin?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, a bit. And also, I mean, not to like quote the
It's okay. You can toot your own horn here.
Oh, I will, but that's not what this one was going to be. The book 10x is easier than 2x. Talks about like putting people in their unique ability, or roles that allow their unique ability. And I was also feeling myself, not to make like too many bug jokes, but I was like a butterfly, right? Like trying to like get out of the cocoon. Like, okay, I'm being held in this limited role, and I want so badly to stretch my wings and help you guys grow. And so just we got to figure that out. But it's been a really fun ride to figure it out together. And now it's just the beginning.
And how has BNI played into that for you?
Yeah, well, they encouraged me to join BNI. So I think that they'd been in a BNI chapter maybe 10 or more years ago. And I think the level, they weren't able to support it at the time. I'm not exactly sure all the details, but they still thought very highly of BNI. So when I started showing interest in driving sales, they said, we want you to go visit a BNI. And I visited BNI Carmel Valley once, fell in love, and was like, sign me up. Where do I sign?
And you've really, just from me observing, you've really taken your role and who you are as the bug girl to a new level, right?
Yeah.
It's not just coming in and existing. You've actually grown it. You've scaled your role with the company, and you've scaled your role in the chapter as well, because obviously now you're the president of the chapter.
Yeah. So that happened pretty quickly, which was pretty fun. I was asked to be the president about 9 months into my membership, and kind of in disbelief like when that happened. But it's been great, and BNI is such a good space to practice anything that you might be considering, especially if it's business development related. If you're like, I have this really cool idea for a social media reel. I think it's funny. I'm going to try it out in my chapter this week, and that's actually how the bug girl thing happened. I didn't mean anything by it. And I said, I'm your bug girl. And the room lit up with laughter. And I was like, I've struck gold. So
that
now
came,
I know what I'm doing.
That came from at the chapter.
Completely organically.
Okay, that's awesome. So going back to the business development side, how do you find or identify for those companies, whether it's someone in BNI that's looking to expand and scale their business, and they want someone like you? How would they identify, or how would they find someone?
Yeah. And I've spent a little bit of time thinking about it. About 5 of my very respected peers have asked to take me to coffee and pick my brain about this. And I kept saying, like, I don't really have anything of value to tell you. I just found this job on Indeed. And then I stopped myself and realized that, no, I do what led me to that.
You've developed
Indeed.
that, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I still my life trajectory still led me there. And it's not a fluke, right? There is a reason that I ended up here. So essentially, I think that I'll talk a little bit about my history just really briefly. And so my work history is almost predominantly or almost exclusively in retail. Okay. So I was in retail management for 10 years with a few different companies. A lot of sales. And that's the key of I think a key point in a great business development person is, unless you're going to develop them from the ground up, which you probably aren't looking to do, but finding someone who was already a sales-driven mentality, maybe competitive mentality, and would have a work history in sales-driven environments. So for me, there were retailers that we really focused on a lot of KPIs, key performance indicators, and then if certain KPIs were falling, I knew how to boost them. Or if a certain brand wasn't selling well, I knew how to boost it. So that's what I mean about like assessing and impacting your business. With one retailer I worked with, we not only had annual, quarterly, monthly goals, but weekly, daily, hourly. And even throughout the hours of the day, I was analyzing, are we making enough money to keep the people in the building, or do I need to start sending people home? Not realizing that I was almost going to business school in my own way through all of that. And anyway, so that has all contributed to what I know how to do. But if you just look on my resume with kind of not really seeing that, just kind of looking at it superficially, you'd be like, oh, she just worked at Tilly's, you know?
So, and that's a good point, right? When for our, whether you're a BNI member or looking to scale your business or someone outside of BNI, the idea that you need to learn how to look beyond just what you see, right? Because like you said, if they would have just looked at the resume or the application and that's it, that tells a small part of the story. How did you get them to understand that you were more than just the, Tilly's cashier?
Yeah. Well, I think it was probably the interview process, but, I remember in our first interview, we ended up getting along really quickly and it ended in laughter. And so that just started us off on a great note. But that was, again, me just interviewing for the office assistant position. Okay. So I think I was probably a little looser, at the time, because I was probably didn't feel intimidated by getting that role. Another thing that was on my resume was I majored in vocal performance in college, which was mostly like choir and opera. Okay. So again, you might say that
I would have never brought that one into, but it plays a role.
Exactly. So if you looked at my resume, you'd see she majored in vocal performance, whatever the heck that means. And then she worked at Tilly's and this other place for a bunch of years. Like, this isn't a great office assistant person, right? She has no administrative knowledge, etc. However, my stage experience made me a great public speaker. It makes me really comfortable in front of people I don't know.
Which is someone that you want, that are when they're answering a phone or a customer walks in the door, having someone who, what's that term? Emotional intelligence?
Yeah. And also just kind of when you have certain stage experience, you can be a little bit more unflappable. Stuff happens and it goes wrong and you're still performing. So the show must go on, and that can be a good thing to have in a business development person. And then the retail kind of gave me the sales and the business understanding. So I took down a few notes of things that I thought would be helpful for other business owners or managers. So I think I have six quick bullets. And so the first one I think is having a foundation for the role that's flexible, that the person can grow into. And
that's that space you talked about.
Yeah,
right?
That. And just like it doesn't, this role, that's what most of my friends have asked me for, what does your commission structure look like? What does your day look like? How does it break down? And I'm kind of like, don't worry about all of that. Give it a little room to breathe and they grow into it based on their ability, but also incentivize the areas of your business that you want to build. If you want to build a referral-based part of your business, you've got plenty of ad-based stuff coming in. Incentivize, via a higher commission rate or a bonus program. Hey, if you bring in stuff from BNI referrals, you get a higher commission rate on it or something to that effect. If there's something you want to grow in your business, you incentivize them because they have a competitive mentality. The right candidate does.
It's interesting. In as you were sharing, I realized that we're 5 years now out of the pandemic, and I know that hiring people right now over this past 5 years has been difficult. Right, finding people that want to work, and oftentimes people come in with, so what does it pay? What are all the things that I get? Versus how can I contribute to this company? How can I grow with the company? And I think that's what people are looking for, particularly in a business development person, is someone who's willing to come in and own the role. Because it sounds like when you came in, you own the space, right? You developed it, you grew it to what it is now. Yeah. Because as you said, they didn't have that role. This is something that got developed.
Right. And we did develop it together. It was something we sat down and looked at. Okay, is this going to be a part-time position? And I was basically like, no, I need full reins, man. And so they made it happen. And I think that probably as a business owner and manager, you see what your employee is enthusiastic about. You see them light up about certain things. And so, if you're able to give them the space to focus on those things, just like in the book, the 10X book, it's going to pay off. It might be an investment on the front end, as far as resource. My second bullet was to put yourself where your ideal candidate might be. So if it is like a sales driven, you want someone who's sales driven, maybe find out what kind of retailers or car sales or something like that. Where are those people currently?
Yep.
Or if you want someone that might have more administrative experience, etc., maybe they are on LinkedIn, maybe they are on Indeed. And if that's the case, bullet 3 is making sure your pitch is appealing. I learned from someone else in my chapter who does basically helps people hire the right candidate for them. And she helped us with one as well, the office manager who got to fill my position.
Nice.
So I get to move forward. So learning how to create an ad that displays your company well, attracts the right kind of candidate. Because I think that's important, is attracting the right kind of candidate. Otherwise you end up spending tons of resources, right?
Well, and it's interesting because that same language that you just used is you want to make it attractive. That's what we're also trying to do on the referral side, right? When we're talking to our team, for you, BNI Carmel Valley, the people in BNI Carmel Valley, is you've got to make your education to the room compelling.
Right. And specific, and and make it like ring true for someone, so they think of someone specific to send you. And so you would want to do, I don't want to talk too much about my friend's business, but essentially you would want to do the same thing with your ad, or maybe your pitch, right? If you're someone who's going to go recruit in person, then your pitch to the person that you're trying to recruit should also be compelling and appealing in a way that they're like, oh, I want to know more. I want to maybe come interview with this person. So that's where you do want to have a little bit of the foundation already, maybe some commission percentage in mind. You can't go recruiting and have nothing.
Yeah.
But
you've got to have an idea, a structure that can be, what's the word, malleable, right? That when I'm able to find someone like you, that we can work it together and make it work. And obviously it's worked very successful.
Yeah, so far. And
so when
good.
did that process start for you? Because you came in as admin and you're now, business development. When did that take place?
Yeah, so about 6 months after becoming the office assistant, I became the office manager. But that was more so a case of the existing office manager moved on to something else, and they saw, okay, this is a good fit for Elizabeth anyway. And then, so that was in 2020, fall of 2020, and then about 2 years ago, so I would say 3 years in that role, which has served me very well in the business development. It allows me to speak very confidently and knowledgeably about bugs, about what's going to go on with someone's Section 1 clearance or whatever, because I've done it all.
Did you ever think in a million years that you would be excited to talk about bugs?
No.
Right?
No. I definitely never thought I would be known as the bug girl, and never thought I would know so much about how termites break down wood in their body. I mean, nothing.
Right?
But it's fun.
And it's working. And it's working really well. And congratulations on that part, right? Because it's not for everyone. I would have never, again, you look back and you go, I would have never imagined myself at this place, and it's working well.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely in my sweet spot right now, as I call it. But yeah, we're having a lot of fun, and it is working. It's growing, and you can feel when things are going well, right?
So what would you say for you, your kind of mindset, your thought, for someone that's, whether they're looking to go into business development or different, whatever area it is, what are some of the things that you as an individual kind of, what's your mindset? What would you encourage someone if you're standing in front of someone that is at a pivotal point in their life, right? They're either going to make a transition in their job, they're looking for a job, whatever it is. What's some of that mindset you think that helped you get to where you are, that someone says, hey, Elizabeth, I've seen what you do. How do I go about doing that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question that no one's asked me before. So I think that if you're not happy where you are, that there is something better, as long as that happiness isn't coming from within, right? But there is something better. And what I mean by that is basically an abundance mindset. And, if you're not happy with your employer, there is another employer out there who's dying for someone like you, or if you want to grow your business, there is a way to grow the business. It's out there. The money's out there, the job is out there, or et cetera. So I think that would be related to it, is instead of seeing, I knew I liked working for my bosses. I knew I liked this company, and I thought that there were some really great things. They're really good people. They're really honest and transparent, and other things that I didn't find at corporations. And so I said, I wanted to be here, but I'm not happy in this role. So how can we work that out? And so maybe give your employer an opportunity to surprise you. And then if not, go find where your next sweet spot is meant to be.
Would you say, and I'm learning more about this word that I forgot years ago, and it's the word curiosity, right? And as kids, we're curious about everything. And then we become adults and our curiosity lessens.
Suddenly we know everything.
Exactly, right? Would you say that having a curiosity mindset, I don't know if that's the right term, but being like, hey, I wonder how this works, or hey, I wonder if we did it this way, how that could expand. Do you think that played a role into your development as well?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that those are the curiosity and the abundance are similarly related, almost like cousins or something, because they both just have the sense of wonder and all things are possible, and what do we really have to lose kind of thing. And I think that my employers have had that too, and that has worked well, which relates to another pointer that I had for listeners, which is to focus on the traits of the person that you want. Again, attracting that candidate, as opposed to what you want their resume to look like. If you want them to be honest, and honesty is a really important value for you, focus on that, and attract that. If sales is important to you, whatever those traits might be, I would encourage people to write them down. And also, to elaborate on that, is spending less time on structuring the role that you want them to fit into, and more on being the person that they would want to work for.
Oh, wow. That's a mic drop right there. Right. And I was just listening to a podcast this morning and they were talking a little bit about that. Right. A lot of times people, they don't quit jobs, they quit people.
Absolutely.
Right?
People work for people.
So to be able to be that boss, that owner, whatever, that partner, whatever it is, that somebody wants to work alongside is incredibly important, because if you're going to be here for 5 years, is the person I work for, do I want to be there around them for 5 years?
Absolutely. And we know we're at our place of work, or, interacting with our coworkers or colleagues on any level, sometimes more than the people that we live with.
Oh my God. Oftentimes more than, absolutely. You're around them 8, 10, 12 hours a day, where your family are 3 or 4 in the evenings, right?
Yeah, so that's why I think those 2 points are related, like focusing on the traits of the person that you want, but then also just kind of working on yourself. Are you someone that people want to work for? Do you put people in the gap, as to reference another book? Like, do you focus on what's lacking, or do you have an abundant mindset? Do you have a curiosity mindset, and someone would be excited to come work for you? If that's not you, then maybe that's where this should start, and not structuring the role.
I love the book references are from Benjamin Hardy's books. So I'm glad that you're reading
them lately.
He's got some incredible books. But the idea, though, of, and again, going back to this word, which I love, which is emotional intelligence, right? Knowing how to work with people, knowing how to develop people, knowing how to bring things out of people. Because I would imagine that your boss or the owner, whoever you're working with, in order to even walk down this road with you, is this someone that I could see pulling out of them? Do they have that inside of them? Right. And learning how to, like you said, like we talked about earlier, looking at beyond the resume, being able to look at someone and go, what's the potential here?
Yeah. What is this really indicating in a skill set that they would have?
Yeah.
The stage presence, I'm not just seeing that they majored in music. They have stage presence. They can work a crowd, things like that.
And all those things in business, like you said, who would have ever thought that element impacted this? But it's huge, because it's all about people, and it's all about, as salespeople, we are performing.
Oh yeah.
Right. All the time. And if our performance is great, we move forward. If it's not, hey, next, right? They're looking who's the next person. Yeah. Right. Every time is an audition. And the whole business development side, I love the idea of a space where you can watch somebody grow and grow into the role,
Right.
and actually own the role. So for years, back when I had, before BNI, back with jobs, I never had an employee mindset. I had a business owner mindset. So I worked for someone, but that area of business that I worked in was my business. I didn't look at it like I was an employee of somebody. Whatever role, when I was at BNI headquarters with Dr. Ivan Meisner, the role that I was in and oversaw, that was my business.
Right.
So to be able to have someone like you, because that sounds like you.
Absolutely. Right. And I think that was kind of cultivated within me with my retail experiences. We treated it like they were our own businesses. Like every store that we managed was our own business. And, but it can be hard. So maybe you think, okay, I want to hire someone with that mentality. Well, you might not want to hire someone who's been a business owner because they might not be willing to work for someone else very well. So how do you find that? And I think there are ways that you can look deeper into their resume, or, read between the lines when you have an interview with them.
Or ask questions. Ask them, like, what do you think about this scenario? What would you do? Being open to have conversation and dialogue.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of it, having a really strong interview, not just asking yes or no questions, and like looking deeper, reading deeper into the responses. But yeah, I think that when you've hired that person too, that what we're talking about is basically, there's one term, it's positive reinforcement, which sounds it can sound condescending at times, but the other is celebrating. You can think of it as positive reinforcement, but it's celebrating the part of what someone is doing or bringing that you want to reinforce, right? Or you want more of. And so I think if you have a candidate or a new hire that is doing certain things really well and you're really excited about that, celebrate, make it a big deal, because the person with a mentality like mine feeds off of that and responds well to that.
And I think there's a lot of, there's business owners or bosses on both sides, right? There's those that have this mentality of, hey, I hired you for the role. My expectation is you're going to do it. Or I hired you for this role and I want to encourage you to help you grow. I had a friend years ago share with me, he said, Ed, when's the best time to tell your spouse that you love them? I'm like, every day, blah, blah. It's like, no, the answer was before somebody else does.
Oh yeah.
Right. And in business, as an owner, people are always being scouted, and they're,
especially if you're the good ones.
Yes, right. And what's the saying? It's the easiest time to find a job is when you have a job, because if you don't have a job, it's very hard to find a job, right? So we want to make sure that we're encouraging, we're edifying, we're recognizing our team. And those are those little I love yous along the way to make sure that they keep us. Yes, money's great, and we're going to, money is a huge part of it. And we need to be recognizing those areas.
Right. And that's kind of back to the interview process too. I mean, we're interviewing them, but they're interviewing us as a candidate, right? And they're determining, do I want to be here? It's not, you can't just be grilling someone in the interview. You should be making yourself appealing and someone that they want to work for in that moment as well.
Well, and I mean, I just turned 55, and I look back at my dad's generation, way back when people, you were in a job and you were in it for 40, 50 years, because the mentality back then was, I need to provide for my family. It's not about me liking my job. It's providing income. Nowadays, that's very different.
We can have both.
Yeah. And it's wonderful when you have both. But and I love the word, I'm going to keep going back to that word, space, right? When you've got a company, a boss, a business owner that creates a space that is malleable, that we can grow together, that I want you, Elizabeth, to develop your role.
Well, and the word space, that was actually my 6th bullet point, is give them the space and the resources to do it. It's not just about, okay, here's your business development room, here you go, make it work. It's the space would be energetic. The space is the understanding and the curiosity and the openness to when they come to you with an idea that you are open, and that's what space looks like in giving someone the space to fulfill this role well, especially if it's a new one for your company.
Well, and I think another word for that is culture.
Absolutely.
Right. The what's the culture of the business environment? Do they have a culture of scolding, or do they have a culture of recognition? Is it a culture of growth? Like, you know what, this is how I would do it. That doesn't mean that's the way you need to do it.
100%.
Right? Find out which way works best for you. What matters is that it gets done.
Yeah, definitely. And when they find what works best for them doing it will be successful, right? If someone is trying to do it your way, but it's not authentic, it's not going to be successful.
Well, that's going back to performing, right? If you had to perform like somebody else, it's not as good as if you performing like you.
Right. And whether it's your BNI chapter members or your customer, they can tell that it's inauthentic, and that's off-putting. Even one example is with my office staff, we have certain things that we need to talk through or emails to send, etc. And I encourage them to write their own script for it because it will be more authentic to them. I have one that works great for me, but it sounds like Elizabeth Hughes is talking. Yeah. So it doesn't sound like, my office staff is talking.
Well, it's got to be unique to you.
Absolutely.
Because when it's unique to you, and you create it, you own it.
Yeah, and that's what an employee looks for. A great employee, a great candidate, they're looking for all of these things, whether it's for business development or any role. They want to be seen and celebrated and given the space to do their job well and the resource. Give me the time to do the task, or give me the money to take out some ads for us, etc. But the resource and the space, and some recognition, that's all an employee really wants.
So with all of this conversation, how has it inspired your time in BNI?
Well, I think it has. I'm accustomed to being in leadership roles, and
hence the president role right now.
Yeah. So and that was a fun transition. And then I caught myself driving my chapter and had to pause and just celebrate them and just say, you know what, we're not going to do, the chapter activities are great. We're going to take a pause on this for a quick second though. And you guys just keep doing what you've been doing. And then we're going to resume in 2 more weeks, and just something like that.
So it's not always about driving people or organizations. You need to take a deep breath and recognize.
Yeah, and I'm accustomed to being someone who, I'm a driver when we look at like leadership styles and driving people from the back. Sometimes you want to lead people from the front and attract them to you and excite them to come your direction. And so that's something I'm currently working on, and I got to practice it with my chapter.
That's awesome. Okay, Elizabeth, as we prepare to end our show today, for that individual that is listening right now, and there's things going on and there's like lights going off and whatnot, what do you want to leave with our audience for that individual that is on the fence? They're at a pivotal point in their life. What do I do? How do I market myself? How do I set myself? I love how earlier you talked about putting someone in front of the space where you want, or putting them in line with where you're going. Right. There's I think it's the hockey player Wayne Gretzky that talked about, I skate to where the puck is going to be.
Ooh.
Right.
I hadn't heard that one. I like it.
And with that, like, how do you, for that individual that is going, they're at that pivotal spot, how can you help them skate to where the puck is going to be?
Yeah. So whether the puck is your ideal candidate or whether the puck is your ideal employer, I think it's about structuring yourself to be that ideal, whatever. And you can have some things in mind. I have a couple of things in mind of what I want in a job, or I have a couple of things in mind of what I want in this role or this candidate, but have it a little more loose, malleable, as you said. Allow these ideas, these constructs that you have to be flexible, allow yourself to be flexible, and the two will attract.
Right. And when they meet, fireworks happen, right? It's a good spot, which is where you're at right now.
I played tennis in high school, and anyway, that was like my sport, right? And so every tennis racket head has a slightly different shaped sweet spot, and you know when you're in your sweet spot, and I'm in mine. And so I want all of my BNI members to be in their sweet spot with their companies and with their employees.
And with their BNI team, right? And you're definitely in it as a president.
Thanks.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Greatly appreciate it. Had a fun conversation. I'm learning a lot as a business owner myself, learning, because I think there's a point where we, BNI San Diego, needs to have a business development person in play. And this has helped me a lot to figure out how to position us as an organization to have that. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And for our listeners, again, thank you for being with us. We also want to remind you to subscribe. Hit that button down below, subscribe, so that you can get the latest podcast each and every Tuesday morning when it drops. We thank you for joining us. We look forward to having you back with us again next week with another amazing guest like I've got today with Elizabeth. And again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
This episode of the BNI San Diego podcast has been brought to you by Cruise Productions, a San Diego-based video production company and proud BNI member. You can find us at the intersection where business and creativity meet, or online at cruiseproductionsinc.com.